Hi, so on chapter 3, it's about message.sender. Okay, now that we have our mappings to keep track of who owns a zombie, we'll want to update create zombie method to use them. In order to do this, we need to use something called message.sender. In Solidity, there are certain global variables that are available to all functions, okay? One of these is message.sender, which refers to the address of the person or smart contract who called the current function. Note, in Solidity, function execution always needs to start with an external caller. Okay, it needs to start with this one maybe. Okay, a contract will just sit on the blockchain doing nothing until someone calls one of its functions. So there will always be a message.sender. Okay, makes sense. Here's an example of using message.sender and updating a mapping. So it has a map of a favorite number with a key value pair of address and uint. Okay, so it has a key of an address, and then it's looking for a uint, which is a favorite number. Okay, so it has this function called setMyNumber, which expects a local variable called myNumber with a date type of uint. So okay, and it's publicly visible. So it says here, update our favorite number, the favorite number mapping to store my number under message.sender. So it would update the favorite number, this one, with the accessing the favorite number using the address of the message.sender. And we are setting it or assigning it with the past my number argument. So the syntax for storing data in a mapping is just like with arrays, yeah. Okay, so it's like if you got to work with an associative array in PHP, I think it works the same. So you have an array, and then this one, for this case, it's a mapping, and then you access it or you set it using a string. So for this one, it's an address, and then we are assigning the value for that message, that sender, with my number. Alright, and then on the next function, so it's called what is my number, and then it has no argument, and then it's publicly accessible or visible, and then it's only for viewing, and then it has a returns a uint. So it says here, retrieve the value stored in the sender's address will be 0 if the sender hasn't called setMyNumber yet. So here it says return favorite number, the mapping. So instead of collections or arrays, right, we are using a map and then accessing it with the message.sender, the one who calls the contract. So let's just I'll just try to review this because this is important for me. So this is again accessing a map, right? And then this is a global variable. Okay, message.sender, the one who calls the contract, alright. In this trivial example, anyone who calls setMyNumber and store uint in our contract, which would be tied to their address. Then when they called what is my number, they would be returned the uint that they stored. So makes sense? So the key is again the address. It should be an address. That's the data type. So address. And it matches the data type of the message that sender, which is an address too. So that makes sense. Then that's the key. So using message.sender gives you the security of the Ethereum blockchain. The only way someone can modify someone else's data would be to steal the private key associated with their Ethereum address. Let's put it to the test. Let's update our create zombie method. So this one, method from lesson 1 to assign ownership of the zombie to whoever called the function. Okay, to whoever called the function. First, after we get back the new zombie's ID, which is this one, let's update our zombie to owner mapping to store message sender under that ID. Okay, start here. Okay, so again, we will be updating the map. So zombie to owner. So this is a map, and then we need some address. On the example, it was an address, but for this one, it's a uint. And then what did it say? So it's zombie to owner. Okay, so it's zombie ID. Mapping to store message sender under that ID. Okay, so we want to map a zombie. So we got to use the zombie's ID for this context. That it maps, that it is associated to the owner. So the address again is the message.sender. Okay, let's see if it's correct. Second, let's increase the owner zombie count for this message sender. In Solidity, you can increase uint with the plus plus, just like JavaScript. Alright. Okay. So the owner zombie count should be like this one. And then owner zombie count, which has the key of the message sender that returns the uint. Owner zombie count. Is this correct? Second, let's increase our owner zombie count for this message sender. I think this should be correct because it accepts an address as a key. But this is interesting, like what if this is an address already? But okay. So it's correct.